All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we get into some LPDS universe updates, talk about the Yankees. We got some very, very short debate discussion from the presidential debate over in the Junction. We got a Stugotz of the week also in the Junction, and we take a couple of hotline calls as well. And of course, we got fantastic Nic Cage fact. All that coming at you right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti, the show that talks about nothing but finds the lessons and everything, and we try to have a good time doing it, share a few laughs in the process. Hope everybody had a good week. Mine was very busy, into the weeds with spearhead stuff and stuff around the house and work stuff. So it's been, I don't want to say hectic, but I've been heads down in the weeds most of the week on that stuff. But can't complain because I'm not bored. Things are moving forward in life, so things are good. This episode is coming out. We got a video issue. Stand by. All right, we're back. Video froze. Don't know why. But anyway, this episode is posting Independence Day week. So I wanted to wish everybody a happy Independence Day. Hope everybody enjoys the holiday, doesn't get, too drunk, doesn't do any Justin Timberlakes. Does anybody else think that JT might have knew what he was doing with that whole DUI thing he got over there in Sag Harbor, which is sort of, the rich part of Long Island, the Hamptons and what have yous. He's got a world tour going on right now that seemingly nobody knows about. I didn't see any advertisements for it. Not that I would. I'm sure the JT faithful have seen, they probably are tracking the world tour updates and all that stuff, but that's not me. I mean, I don't mind JT's music, but I'm not a super fan, so I'm not paying attention to it. But it was awfully coincidental that his tour was seemingly, unknown to the masses. And then he gets this DUI and he's all over the news. He said it's going to ruin the world tour, but let's be honest, it probably bumped his numbies up a little bit. So was he drunk? Probably. Should he have been driving? Absolutely not. It's 2024. If you can't get an Uber, figure it out. Also, he's mega rich and successful. He should have a driver. He should be getting a helicopter ride from the bar to his mansion that he's living in or wherever he was going. That's ridiculous, JT. You got to be better than that. But I'm sure this is doing great for your tour, so I guess congratulations in that regard. Also, you didn't kill anybody, which is the more important thing. That's something that people, I don't know why, when they post commercials and ads and warnings about DUIs here in America, it's always click it or ticket or drive drunk and get pulled over. Like, drive drunk, you could kill somebody. And I've said this before, but I just think that's a little crazy to me that's if you want to bring dramatics and get in people's feels and get them to change their ways, you got to hit them hard with that stuff. And you would think that they would want to go with the hard-hitting reason to not drive drunk. You could kill somebody or yourself. No, they talk about the fine. You don't want to pay a fine, do you? You don't want to spend the night in the clink with Prison Mike To those people, that's not phasing them. If you're a regular drunk driver, that's not phasing you. But I'll tell you what, you get a vehicular manslaughter under your belt, things will probably change for you. So I don't know. It's about messaging. We got to do better about messaging, I guess. Anyway, enjoy your Independence Day. Don't drive drunk. You could kill somebody or yourself. But enjoy your holiday. Anyway, let's move on. I got some LPDS updates I want to get to that people have been asking about. I say people, like one person, which is fine by me. That makes me feel, important a little bit, which is cool. So, the tomatoes and the peppers, because I got both in now. They're in the ground. I don't know if I posted any pictures putting them in the ground. I think I did, maybe on Instagrams or whatever, but they're in the ground and they're sturdy. But I don't know if they're growing. They're not dying. They're strong in there, but I haven't seen much growth. And it's probably because I'm looking at them every day, so it's obviously tough to see, the growth and maturation of these plants when you're watching them every day. But I've been looking at reference points on my fence next to the garden and the little tomato cages I have to stabilize them when they get bigger. And I'm trying to measure to see when they're getting higher up, in those reference points. And they don't seem to be. I don't know why. They probably are, and I'm just not noticing, but they're sturdy. They're in there. The peppers are doing fine. Everything is good to go. They need a lot of water. The garden dries up fast here in Texas in the heat and the sun. So it's been higher maintenance, paying attention to those. I'm going on a trip in a few weeks here for a couple days, so I got to figure that out to make sure that they're getting watered. I kind of feel bad asking my neighbor because he's always doing, nice favors for me and stuff like that. So I kind of feel bad doing that. So I got to figure that piece out. But the tomatoes, the plants are doing well. Hopefully we get some tomatoes and peppers out of that, so I can send them over to Tony and make some sauce and some how you doings and have a good time with it. So there you go. Moving on. Bird situation update. Bird problems. I no longer have a bird problem. It seems like the two fledgling birds, the two ugly, disgusting looking, despicable looking, homeless bum looking birds seem to have grown up and have flown away. Mama bird is no longer protecting the yard and stalking me and Randy, which is nice and comforting. And it seems like that family is now doing well somewhere else. So everybody asking about the birds, they were protected. All the bird community out there, don't worry, the birds are protected. I know you were worried about that as strangers from God knows where you live, worrying about a guy on the internet talking about birds. So there you go. Everything's okay now. The birds seem to be okay, and Mother Nature has done its thing. Just like I said, survival of the fittest. These guys survived. Didn't have to really do anything at all. They were in a safe area, family-friendly neighborhood, backyard. Nobody was going to take them out. And there's not a lot of hawks around here. I live behind a strip mall. Not a lot of hawks hanging around here, so we're good. What else we got? Yankees updates. Yankees. Now, at the time of this recording, they sort of got out of their slump. They broke their 4-game losing streak and beat up on the Blue Jays. So it was like 16-5 they won, or 15-5, something like that, which was nice to see. This was yesterday. I watched this. It was a little refreshing to see. But the Yankees have been in a skid, and it's the exact reason we talked about why. The guys who were excelling and playing above their weight class started playing at their weight class and stinking it up. And they got some injuries with the pitching staff, so they have a bullpen full of minor leaguers and untested guys. So that didn't help them much either. And they were getting beat up on by every good team. And even not so good teams. They got absolutely, absolutely embarrassed and owned by the Mets 2 games in a row. Now, the first game they lost 9-7, but they were losing 9-1 the whole game until the end of the game when the Mets were doing Mets stuff and almost gave up the game because 8th inning, Yankees scored a bunch of runs. Aaron Judge hits a grand slam. Soto and Judge are the only ones consistently producing. Even when Soto's slumping right now, for Soto, it's a Soto slump. It's not a real slump. They're still making moves. He's making things happen. He's getting on base. He's scoring runs. Judge is bringing him in. The dynamic duo is still producing. Everybody else has been an absolute nightmare. Poor Verdugo had like an 0 for 22 streak going. Gleyber Torres had an 0 for everything streak going. Couldn't field, couldn't hit, wasn't running, wasn't hustling things out. They finally benched him. After a couple games, he came back. He went like 2 for 3. So hopefully he's back. It was nice to see his attitude was changing. He was hanging on. This game against the Blue Jays, the latest game, he was hanging on to Aaron Judge in the dugout the whole game, asking the captain for advice, going to him for motivation and help. And that's what I like to see. Do I think Gleyber Torres is going to be, the superstar that we once thought he was? No. In fact, I think they'll probably get rid of him. They probably won't sign him because it's a contract year for him. But I did like that. In the past, you've seen guys who get into slumps or are not producing, and they latch on to the wrong people on the team. You saw it back in the day with A-Rod, with Melky Cabrera, Robinson Cano. Somebody else latched on to A-Rod, and then they all eventually got popped for steroids. Because they were hanging out with A-Rod. Now you could dog on A-Rod all you want. He was sort of the default go-to leader for those guys to go to because nobody wants to talk about this except for the creature. The creature is the only one he's got the baseball knowledge and the objective viewpoints when it comes to baseball and the Yankees, but nobody wants to talk about the fact that Derek Jeter, the captain, who I love, did not like new blood. If you weren't part of the core 4, you were not part of his crew. So when you had these young guys like Melky and Cano and them looking to latch onto a veteran leader type, Jeter wanted nothing to do with them. So who did they go to? A-Rod. Which makes sense. Here I was one of the best players in the game at the time. And then they just got caught up in the A-Rod stuff. So, but back to Gleybe. I like to see that he's going to Judge. It doesn't seem like they have any, if at all, toxic players on the team. Maybe they're hiding it well, I don't know. But it seems like that the environment and the culture in the clubhouse is pretty solid with the Yanks, which I do really enjoy. And I like their attitude about it. But they're just not like their bottom half of the order is just not good. They're just not producers. And it's coming back to show for it now. They got absolutely owned by the Mets. The second game, they lost like 12-2. It was they got walloped by the Mets, who are a joke right now. They have no team chemistry. Their good players are stinking it up. Their bad players are doing exactly what you expect their bad players to do. And they absolutely bent over the Yankees 2 games in a row. It wasn't even competitive. The 9-7 was a fluke at the end, and I still don't think the Mets were feeling it at the end of the game. They were probably still very comfortable with the fact that they were going to win that game. It was crazy how bad the Yankees looked that game. And then the next game against the Jays, they got waxed again. To a team that's not hitting well, not pitching well, not playing well. And they made them look like a World Series contending team. until yesterday. They finally turned it around for one game. But the problems we've talked about since the offseason are what's hurting them now. And all these analysts and the blindly loyal fans of the Yankees are all shocked. Oh, I'm surprised that this is just a small slump for this great empire of a team, and don't worry, they're gonna figure it out. I can't believe that they had this skid. Meanwhile, all the realistic fans are sitting here like Herm Edwards of the Jets press conference, and we're all saying we are who they thought we thought they were. I totally botched that, but I don't care. They are who we thought they were. This is the team we expected. This is the team we thought they were, and now they're playing like that. And the fact that you're shocked and surprised is exactly what we warned you about in the beginning of the season. Don't be shocked when they're the first team to win 50 games, and then they start slumping, and you're like, hey, what's going on here? This is exactly what we expected. The only difference that I was wrong, the only thing I was wrong about, and I'm okay admitting this because I want to be wrong about the Yankees. I want them to be good, and I want them to dominate. The only thing I've been wrong about so far is that their attitude is great. They got guys who care about winning and producing and trying hard, as opposed to what they've had in the past with like the fat Gary Sanchez's who didn't even care. So I like that attitude. That attitude is going to get them through these tough times and try to work through it. Do I think they're going to win a World Series? No, I don't. I want them to, but right now I still don't think so. They need to make moves. They need to make adjustments. And I don't know. I don't even know if they're able to do it, if they're going to be able to do it. With the way the league is right now, the National League is an absolute circus act. Everybody in the National League stinks. So they're going to be scrambling to pick up guys and make trades before the trade deadline, and that's going to leave the Yankees with scraps. So we'll see how it goes. But don't be surprised by this skid that they've had, Yankee fans. You can't be surprised by it. You could be disappointed. It's tough to watch. When they're this bad, it's tough to watch. But don't be surprised by it. We just had to get better. They had to fire Cashman, and we had to get better. So I think that's all I got for the Yankees right now. I don't want them to be bad. I am not that fan that hopes they're bad just so I could say I'm right. I want to be wrong about everything when it comes to the Yankees. I want them to dominate again. I don't care that if they're considered the evil empire, like everyone was hating them back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Oh, the evil empire. All they do is buy their teams and whatever. Buy the team. I don't care. I want to win World Series. I want to win championships. If I had a front office position at the Yankees, that's what I would care about, because championships puts asses in seats and puts money in pockets. And that's what I don't understand about the mindset of Cashman and a lot of these teams actually lately, because the MLB has adjusted the playoff system and how many people get in. You don't have to be good to get to the playoffs anymore. And all these teams care about is just eking by and saving the money on good players and getting just enough players that'll eke them by, get them a 500 record to give them playoff contention. And then once they're in the playoffs, then they can use the excuse, well, it's a crapshoot, because it really is a crapshoot in the playoffs. You never know what team is going to start kicking it in gear and shocking the world. That's playoff baseball. That's playoff sports in general. I get that. But they're using that as an excuse to not really care about how well they do. They just want to be good enough to make the playoffs, and then they're like, oh, we'll see. If we do well in the playoffs, awesome. If not, it's a crapshoot anyway, so we could just tell the fans, hey, at least we made it to the playoffs, because they think we're idiots. And some of us are idiots. Got it. And we're not doing anything to change it. Like I said in the past, the Yankees fans still go to the games. So it's whatever, the process for Cashman and the Yankees is working. But if you win championships, if you make it to the World Series, you're also going to put asses in seats. You're going to get the money you want. You might, in the short term, you might be spending more money to get these players, but in the long term, you're going to have a competitive team for years to come. And that's how you create dynasties. That's how you create lasting fans. You think the Yankees fans now are fans because of this team? Maybe they got a couple of new Soto fans that came over to the Pinstripes. But they got those fans from the 90s and the early 2000s when they were animals out there on the field. And they just expected to win. And if they didn't make the World Series, it was a failed season. That's how you got those loyal fans, those dogs. Go look at old Yankee games from the early 90s, the late 80s, early 90s. Nobody was going to those games because the team was not good. And guess what? They had similar records and success in the late 80s and early 90s as they're doing right now. So the fans that are still coming to the games are the nostalgia fans almost. They're the fans like me who, when we were growing up, they were powerhouses. The Yankees were a powerhouse. Now, I grew up, late 80s, early 90s as well, so I kind of knew when they were stinking it up. I was a little too young to care as much. But then throughout the mid-90s, late 90s, early 2000s, it was dominance. Domination. Whatever version of dominant you want to use. And that created that diehard, I watch all Yankee games now. That's the major fan base of the Yankees right now. And this is just my opinion. I could be wrong. Somebody who's smarter than me, like the Creature, he probably has better insight on this, so he can correct me. But in my opinion, that's the fan base right now. It's the people who watch the Yankees crush and dominate teams, and everyone was scared to play them. It was always, every series against the Yankees was their World Series to that team. Oh, if we could beat the Yankees, we're good. We're okay. And we're just clinging on to that, hoping that comes back. And then if you have kids, your children are Yankee fans because of you, not because the Yankees are good right now. My nephew watches the Yankees because my brother-in-law and sister are Yankees fans and watch the Yankees. And he likes Aaron Judge. But he's never seen a championship Yankees team. He's never seen a successful Yankees team. So he doesn't have that dog in him yet. He is not a diehard fan. He is a casual baseball fan. He's a kid Aaron Judge fan. That's it. If they put together a string of World Series wins, he's a fan for life. He's buying merch. He's buying memorabilia. He's going to games for life. If they continue to stink when my nephew gets through high school, he's not going to pay attention anymore. He's not going to go to games. He's not going to care. He's not going to get the viewership on TV. He's not going to buy gear. You want to create that fan base. You want to put asses in seats and keep them in there and get the merch and get the worldwide fame, and you want to get the profits you're looking for. Spend the money now. Invest in your team now. You have the money. It's not like they don't have the money. They're the most profitable team in the game still. And they're just trying to hoard it all for some reason. Spend the money now. Reap the rewards in the future. That's what the Dodgers are doing. Now, yeah, and that's the argument the Yankees have. Well, the Dodgers bought their team. They haven't won a World Series. They won a COVID World Series. It's a Mickey Mouse World Series. Doesn't count. And I don't think it counts either, frankly. But that's what they're saying. That's another excuse they use. They're buying their team. The Dodgers are going to win World Series very soon. Their team is too good not to. And once they do, because they have stars, and stars bring in new fan bases. And then when they win championships, that is, which will come. I don't want it to come. I don't like the Dodgers, but it'll come eventually. Then they're going to get the diehards. Then when Ohtani retires and Freddie Freeman's gone and Mookie Betts is gone and they have a new team, they have the fans now that are going to stick around because they were Dodgers fans for years and years because the team was so dominant. It's going to come back for them. I'm telling you, the Dodgers are going to be fine. I think they have an effective strategy. Spend the money up front, reap the rewards in the future. Just the fact that they spent all that money on Ohtani, they're going to make their money back tomorrow. $700 million is almost a drop in the bucket for them because they just bought Japan for life. Between Ohtani and Yamamoto, the Dodgers now practically own the Japanese baseball market when it comes to fandom. Used to be the Yankees. There's probably still a lot of Yankees fans out there in Japan, but that's dwindling now because the current players, the current stars from Japan are on the Dodgers. So I want the Yankees to be good. I want them to go back to banging again. And that's all I got to say about that. Finally, we're done. Love the Yankees. Anyway, let's just get right into the good stuff. Got a good junction. Got a good cage fact. So we'll step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Hot Rods. Do you need sturdy stakes to put in your garden to hold your tomato plants up? Do you also want something light yet strong to defend yourself against local riffraff? Or do you want something long and thick to grip and improve your forearm strength? Then get yourself an all-purpose rod by Hot Rod today. Hot Rod's rods come in multiple sizes and thicknesses depending on your desires and are strong yet malleable, so no matter how hard you crank on them, they'll never break. So to get your rod today, visit the deliveries area behind your local Party City and look for the guy in the fishnet shirt. And if you use the porno password, nice piece, you'll get 29% off your first rod. I actually put those little metal cage enclosures over around my tomato plants because the stakes I've used in the past were too flimsy and required too much extra maintenance to keep my tomatoes going straight and not falling over. So I got the cages, and what I'm going to do is as they grow, instead of leaning on the cages, I'll just take a couple pieces of string and string them along so that they're still in the middle of the cage, but we're using the cage as sort of a stake as well, sort of a hot rod. And we'll see how that goes. This is my first time with the tomato cages as opposed to the hot rods. So we'll see. I don't think the peppers will need hot rods. They don't grow too big, and their stalks are strong and sturdy. But we'll see. I have hot rods already for the peppers, just ready, at the ready to go. So we'll see how it goes. But get yourself a hot rod. Anyway, the cage fact. There was actually a plethora of cage facts that I was finding this week, and I didn't know. I wanted to put them all out there because I don't want them to be outdated. But a cage fact is a cage fact, so we'll talk about some more in the future. I did see one that tried to be a new cage fact. It was an article that came out a couple days ago. And the headline was like, Nic Cage discusses his top 5 Nic Cage movies. And it got me. It clickbaited me because I was like, oh, let's see what he says. But I remembered after I clicked it, of course, I remembered that he did this on Stephen Colbert's show, his night show, like a year or two ago when Renfield came out. He was doing his rounds for Renfield, and he talked about his top 5 movies then, and we talked about it here on the LPDS. So that was a trick. They tried to trick fuck us, but we're not going to let it happen. But the cage fact today is the new movie Quiet Place Day One came out. If you're not tracking the Quiet Place saga series, whatever you want to call it, it's the movie franchise that Jim Halpert, John Krasinski came out with. The movie about is it aliens, alien monsters that invaded Earth, and if you make any noise, that's how they find you. They're blind, but they have a sense of hearing like none other. So the first movie was about them living. Jim Halpert and Pam and the family was living in silence and having to navigate through all that. And then the second one, I think, was more of it had a lot more flashbacks to the beginning of when the aliens first invaded and the family story. And then, of course, the family, as the family continued through. And then this third one here, this third installment is Day One, and it's just a general day one in New York City. And it follows a different set of characters and stars as opposed to the Halpert family. So it's an interesting additional take on it. And apparently it's pretty good. This guy on Instagram who does movie reviews, I think his name is the Movie Review Man or something like that. He puts out a bunch of good videos, a review of movies, talking about actors and different facts and stuff like that. He's good. He was talking about his review of the movie. He said it was good, but he also said that unfortunately, everybody in the theater would be dead in seconds if this was a real life situation because they would not shut up. And that is, besides the cost of tickets and food at the theater, that's the thing I hate the most about the movies. I love going to the movies otherwise, if I could bring my own snacks, because I don't want to pay $60 for a box of Sour Patch Kids and a cherry Coca-Cola. It's the most annoying thing is the people that won't shut up. And I lump them into the cell phone using people too. But he said the movie was great. Anyway, the movie was directed by a guy named Michael Sarnoski. I hope I'm not butchering that name. Now, Michael Sarnoski got this role as a director. He was handpicked by Jim Halpert, John Krasinski himself. And the reason why is because Michael Sarnoski made a little movie called Pig that he had to get Nic Cage to, not agree to, but work with to do the movie. And because Pig was such a wildly successful independent film, it got in this role. John Krasinski called up Michael Sarnoski and said, "Hey, I'm making a new Quiet Place, and I love the movie Pig. Would you be interested in coming and putting a little pig stink in this movie? Put a little pig flair that you provided to that movie to my movie." And Sarnoski got Pig because he got Cage. Because Cage said, "Let's do this movie." And it's actually Nic Cage's favorite movie that he has made. And it's one of my favorite Nic Cage movies, too. It's so good. I can't explain it because it's not standard Nic Cage. And we've discussed this in the past, obviously. It's not standard Nic Cage where he's just going off the walls crazy in all these different scenes, not a lot of high action or whatever. It's a completely different style of Cage that you haven't seen in years. And it's a fantastic movie. Cage crushed it. Sarnoski crushed it. And because of that, if it wasn't for Nic Cage turning this movie into a wildly successful film, success story, Sarnoski doesn't get the call to do Quiet Place, which is it's a bigger budget, obviously, successful franchise with the Quiet Place team. I hope they do more. This is a franchise that you can do different worlds reacting, having their own different storylines dealing with these types of alien monsters. And you can not get away with it, but you can have successful, good films doing that. Krasinski really did he created something awesome here. So Sarnowski doesn't get this awesome opportunity without Nic Cage, essentially. So that's the Cage fact. All right, we'll move on over to the Junction. We'll spin the logo up. I got video issues all day today. Stand by 1 second. Oh, I think we're back. Yeah, I'm buffering. We're freezing. So in YouTube land, if you're seeing the frozen videos, I apologize. I don't know what the deal is with that, but we're going to, I can't edit that in post, unfortunately. So you're going to see some frozen video here on this episode. The audio still seems to be good, so I apologize. I'm just not as tech savvy as I want to be or as I thought I would ever be. So anyway, I want to talk very quickly about the presidential debate that occurred recently. Only because it was the most talked about thing of the week outside of Hawk Tuah girl and anything sports related. I don't need to talk too much about Hawk Tuah girl. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I love her. Everybody loves her. For those who don't know, you're not missing much. It was a viral video of a street interview of this gal. If you look up Hawk Tuah girl, HAWK space TUAH girl, you'll find it. And you can make your own opinions of it off of that. But Hawk Tuah girl was huge, still huge right now, trending. And then the presidential debate. Here's what I'm going to say. Excuse me. I don't care about your politics. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is not who you want as your options for president on either side. The fact that there's only two sides is still mind-boggling to me, that we've let our government control us this much, which is ironic as we come into Independence Day and we have less freedom than we possibly could have imagined as an American, as an America. Funny to me. And that's a little tinfoil hatty, I'm sure, for some of you and your opinions, but crazy to me. Anyway, this was comedy gold. This presidential debate was comedy gold. Okay? Forget about what they were talking. The debates in general are a terrible, terrible venue to find out the capability of somebody's leadership potential to run this country. Terrible. They're only good for sound bites and video clips. And that's what it's become. Each candidate tries to get the video clip and the soundbite out there that's going to get them popular enough to get votes. Not based on their policies, but based on the outlandish things they say and if they can, quote unquote, win the debate. And it's been going on like this for years now, but nobody's winning the debates. We are losing day in and day out when we have people like this as our options for president. But the silver lining is this was comedy gold. Absolute comedy gold. Joe Biden and Donald Trump talking about golfing and carrying your bag and what your height and weight are. That was one of I'm sure there were funnier lines from an objective comedic standpoint, but when Joey B was talking about his handicap and Trump goes, oh, that's the biggest lie of all. 6 handicap is the biggest lie I've ever said of all. And then he goes, and Biden, says, oh, I could do it. I could golf you. And Trump goes, never. He goes, I've seen your swing. I know your swing. You can't. I was crying. I've seen your swing. I know your swing. Like, say what you want about Emperor Trump. And I've said this in the past. Say what you want about it. You can hate him. You can love him. It doesn't matter. I don't care about that regard. You can't deny his roasting and comedic timing. You can't deny it. He should have been a comedian. He should have been. And I know people will deny it because if the people who don't like him don't want to say anything good about a guy they don't like, but you're just being biased. I'm sorry. Just like the people who hate Biden will never say a good thing about him. It's just a bias. Objectively speaking, he's got comedic timing, and he was very funny. Now, he embellished a lot. He avoided a lot of questions, Emperor Trump. And that's what people that's what the anti-Trumpers on the media and everything are saying. Like, he lied. He didn't say anything truthful. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think he embellished a lot. He provided no evidence to support a lot of his statements, and he did try to avoid questions a lot. But he said a lot of things that were true. He just couldn't back him up. He didn't back him up. He could have, but he didn't. We're frozen video again. Damn it. Stupids. Anyway. So I don't necessarily agree with the fact that he just lied only. He did, they both lied. They both made stuff up. They both embellished. Joey B. Here's what I'll say about Joey B. I had this theory a while ago that we've talked about that he's not going to be the candidate. I still believe that. I also thought that he was going to bail on these debates. I thought for sure he was going to get right up to the point of the debate day, and then that's when he was going to bow out or call in sick or something. So I was shocked that he actually debated. But I realized, if we're going tinfoil hat here, I realized something. The Democratic Party put him out there for a reason. Because they knew he was going to be a train wreck. Okay, and this goes along the lines with what I've been saying already, is that he's not going to be the candidate come November. He's not going to be the candidate, and you can see it now a lot more obviously than before, because there was a lot of people denying, say he's in perfect health, he's got this, no problem. But they put him out there on purpose, knowing that even when he's pumped up with all his stimmy shots and adrenaline and whatever else they pumped him full of, and they kept him in his Camp David bunker for a week to rest up and train for this, quote unquote. And even though they had somebody obviously in his ear telling him what to say, because he was speaking so fast and so monotone, it was like he was just reading from the teleprompter. Even when he made a mistake and said the wrong word, the way he went back to correct himself was as if somebody was telling him, hey, you got to correct this. You said trillions instead of billions. And that's when he went back to correct himself. Otherwise, he was just reading or regurgitating what was being told to him. And it looked like I couldn't tell if he was looking at somebody behind the moderators, like to his left. He just kept staring in that one space the whole time, as if he was reading something. Or when you're concentrating on something in your ear, you just stare at one space so you don't get distracted visually, so you can hear what's going on. I did that a lot on our missions in Afghanistan. When you're doing a whole bunch of stuff, you got to hear the guys on the radio on the ground telling you what they need. So you just kind of like stop and stare, like, okay, I'm listening. Got it. All right, now I move on with the rest of the mission or whatever. And that's exactly what it looked like he was doing. And they knew he was going to be a train wreck despite all the help that they gave him. And then what did they do? What did the media start doing? As soon as the debate was over, now they start planting the seed more obviously. Is Joe Biden fit to be president? Should he bow out? The question is now, now it's not just a no, now it's a maybe. Like they're running the playbook to get him out. And then who happened to be at the debate in person to talk about it afterwards? Gavin Newsom. Greasy Gavin Newsom. Just like we discussed. Now, I still think there's a chance that Michelle Obama, Big Mike, by the way, a CNN reporter allegedly. I don't know if it was fake. I heard it, but I don't know if it was real or for somebody made it up. But allegedly, this reporter on CNN accidentally called Michelle Obama Big Mike on TV. And he's like, oh, there's, the option of Big Mike. He goes, I mean, Michelle Obama. And then he says, I apologize. I don't know why I said Big Mike. I meant Michelle Obama. We know why he said Big Mike. We know why he said Big Mike. So I thought that was funny. But I still think there is that option that she is the candidate. It's not going to be Hillary. Everybody hates her. She's a criminal. She's a murderer. Can't have her up there. So it's going to be either Gavin or Michelle Obama, or maybe even both, because Kamala Harris she's terrible. She's a joke. But Gavin Newsom, greasy Gavin Newsom, was in there to give his 2 cents. Why was he there? Why has he been making his rounds around the country and the world, all over the place? He's just a governor. Why would he be campaigning? This is what a candidate should be doing. Donald Trump is going around giving speeches, holding rallies everywhere. Gavin Newsom is going around giving speeches, holding rallies everywhere. Why? He's just the governor. What is he rallying for? What does he do? What is he doing? Joe Biden is not doing any of that. He's hiding in a bunker. Why was he there? And I think they're just running the playbook. Now, I will still be shocked if Joey B shows up to the second debate in September. I think it's September. I'll still be shocked if he shows up. I don't know when the Democratic National Convention is, but I still think what's going to happen is they're going to have the primaries and they're going to have the quote-unquote vote of people voting for their Democratic candidate. And they're going to vote Biden because he's still going to be eligible. And then at the convention, once he gets the selection, that's when he's going to bow out. And then at that point, the convention is allowed to, or he's allowed to identify who's going to replace him without putting it to a vote to the people. And this is the way the political parties can sleaze around the democratic process and select the candidate for you, as opposed to us selecting the candidate for ourselves. They take us completely out of the equation. That's how they're going to do it. And they're going to pick Greasy Gavin or they're going to pick Big Mike, because even though he sucks, he's turned California into an absolute shithole. And nobody can deny that. California is great as far as scenery and weather and things to do and stuff like that, but it's an absolute hole. Northern California is a little different because they're very far removed from the political epicenter in South California, in Southern California. So it's definitely a different vibe up there, except for San Francisco. That's also a nightmare. But more of the rural, mountain, outdoor areas, blue-collar areas of California are not as bad. But otherwise, California is a nightmare. And it's because of him, because of his lack of leadership, his hypocrisy, his lying. He's objectively not good at his job. So he's going to be the candidate. It doesn't matter how bad he is, because they can use he's younger, he's good looking, he's got a way with words, he's a good orator. He's a stupid Obama. He's a stupid Obama. Barack Obama is a very intelligent person. And he speaks well and professionally. He knows the exact words to say, when to say them, to rally the troops, if you will, and to get his agenda done, to get things done. Now, I don't think that I disagree with a lot of him on the political side, but that's undeniable. He's a very smart person, very intelligent guy. He was with it. He was coherent. He was what other words you could say for not a demented old man? And Gavin Newsom is just the dumber version of that. He's with it. He has a way with words. He's a very good looking fella. He appeals to people in that regard, but he's stupid. He's slightly smarter than Kamala Harris. He's a one step above her, and he's smart enough to be able to read a teleprompter and follow orders. He's a dumber Obama. And then Michelle Obama is an Obama, so that's, and she's also younger and with it, and she's also smart, whether you like her or not. So they're going to use that and be like, well, he's way younger than Trump. He doesn't put out mean tweets. He doesn't roast people. He doesn't compare golf games, blah, blah, blah. And that's what they're going to try to put in to appeal. The policies and the hypocrisy and the control and the criminality is all going to stay the same. It's just a new face. It's a younger face that you can't use the excuse, this guy's not fit to be president because he's dying. He's a skeleton like Biden. You're not going to, that's what all they're doing. All they're doing is taking the excuse away from us. And the Republicans can't do that with Emperor Trump because he's too coherent and lucid, and with it, regardless of his age, he's in better mental shape to handle the role of president than Biden is, for sure. So they can't use that. They can't bring in a younger guy because they try to, and Trump just demolishes them. So that's what we're dealing with. I still believe that to be the fact. I know I went on way too long about this, but that's what's going to happen. If I could, I would put money on it. I don't know I'm going to have the timing off because I don't know when the DNC is, and I don't know if Biden is actually going to show up to the second debate. He might, so that they can just put a nail in the coffin for him and be like, see, he's not fit. That's why we had to change it up. But he's not going to be the candidate. I can almost guarantee it at this point. He will not be the candidate. So remember what I said here, and then we can go back to the tape in November to see what's up. All right, moving on. We got a Stugotz of the week, a first one in a long time. Now, this guy is not, we got the damn video. I'm so pissed at this. I don't know why it's freezing. I don't know what's going on. Super annoying. Anyway, Stugotz of the week.
Stugotz? Fucking Goomba trash.
This guy is not guinea trash. He's just trash. Now, this is a particular individual. This is not like shopping cart guy, like a general type of person. This is a specific guy. Now, I didn't take any pictures of him because I don't like taking photos of people without their consent in public areas, community areas. This was at the gym, so it's not technically public because you have to pay for a membership, but it's open to all to sign up. This guy is a known piece of shit in our gym. He's a little guy, about 5'4", very big. Like he's a jacked guy. Big, strong, big muscles, strong, big thighs, no calves. I think he might be Cuban or Dominican. One of those. Are they technically Caribbean islands? Are they part of the Caribbean? I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know. And I'm gonna sound like an idiot if I make any assumptions, but he is from that region, it seems like, and he speaks almost. I think he only speaks Spanish. I think he can understand English, but every time I've only heard him speaking Spanish to everybody at the gym, and he's definitely known throughout the gym. He's been going for a while, obviously, so people talk to him, or he talks to people, mostly younger women, and he's a known piece of shit. I've heard multiple people go up to the front desk to talk about what a problem he is to people. He'll come in. First, he'll talk your ear off if you're a hot girl and stop you from working out. Then he'll hog a machine for a long time. Most of the time, he's sitting there on his phone or he's talking to women. And then he'll leave everything a mess. He doesn't just leave the weights on the bar or not re-rack them or not put anything away. He doesn't clean up. He doesn't wipe down his sweat off benches and and equipment. He'll litter. He'll use a paper towel to wipe the sweat off his head and then throw it on the floor. And everything is always a mess. Every time he's using a machine or equipment that I want to use, I don't go there after him because I don't have the time to clean up after him every single time. He's completely inconsiderate of others. He's got this attitude like it's his gym, and he's 5'4". Yeah, he's a big guy. But if we got into a fisticuffs, he doesn't know this. And maybe he fights dirty too, but I fight dirty. If we got into a fisticuffs, I'm not scared of him because he's big and seemingly strong, because he could put up a lot of weight on the Smith machine. That doesn't scare me. Because I'll do things to him that he wouldn't even imagine. And I'm not even going to mention it on this show because this is a family show, and I don't want family show Terrence or his family to have to hear any of that. But this guy thinks who the hell he is, and I know he would be absolutely ragdolled by the people in the gym collectively. Because if they saw us going at it, I can almost guarantee you the vast majority of the people at the gym, especially the regulars, would side with me, would back me up. This guy is just an absolute piece of garbage. Well, a couple days ago, I'm at this pull-up bar on a squat rack combination doing some pull-ups, and he's over at the Smith machine. Everything is despicable. He brings dumbbells over, he brings easy bars over, he brings it all over so he could do all his workout in one spot, and then he just leaves it there. He's got a bench there too. His stuff is all over, paper towels, water bottles, everything, all over the place. This bastard, this disgusting piece of shit, he goes over to the paper towel dispenser to wipe his face down in his head, throws it on the ground next to him, and then proceeds to fire snot rockets on the floor inside the gym, right there by the Smith machine next to his water bottle and his crap. Doesn't use the paper towel he just grabbed, doesn't get a separate one, doesn't go to the locker room, right there on the floor, and then leaves the snot frag on the ground indoors where people are going to be walking and trying to work out. And that's when I had enough. That I could not let that go any farther. Most of the time I've been beta bitch boying it, and if he's got the equipment everywhere, I don't say anything. I just go to a different machine. Like I said, it's beta, but I admit that this one I couldn't let go. And I wasn't a super dickhead about it. I was being professional, and all I said was, when he did that, I just go, dude, you can't be doing that in the gym. You got to clean that up. You can't be snot rocketing in this community space. And he didn't say a word to me, but he did go grab a paper towel and clean it up. So I know he understands English, and he knew what the hell I was talking. Even if he didn't understand English, he knew what the hell I was talking about because I was pointing, and it was right after the snot rocket. I saw the snot rocket, and I just go, dude, you can't do that in the gym. That's disgusting. That's absolutely disgusting. So he could just probably tell from my body language, and no, he's got the guilty conscience. He knew what he did was wrong. There's no human being with half a brain in this country that goes to gyms that would do something like that and think it's not wrong. Unless you've been homeless for 15 years and you know nothing else, and you just, oh, sorry, I'm a creature of habit. I used to be homeless. I'm figuring it out again. I'll give you that. If you were a prior bum, okay, maybe. Or if you're an Encino man coming from the past, maybe. But this guy knew exactly what he was doing. He knew he was doing a piece of shit thing, and he got called out for it. Because he didn't say a word. He just walked right over to the paper towel dispenser and then cleaned it up after. He knew exactly what the hell he did. And it was disgusting. Now, I didn't rat him out to the front desk. I'm still very torn about what I want to do in that regard, because on one side of the house, they need to know what a piece of garbage this guy is. He should have been removed from the gym a long time ago. But I know this gym, it's a cheap gym. It's for, not wealthy clientele, if you will. So I don't think they care as much, which I understand from the business side, whatever. So they should know about this. He should have been tossed out. But also, I also know that multiple people go to the front desk about this guy regularly anyway. So they do know, and it's a little bit on them to do something about it, but it's also still on us. I got to be better at holding people accountable professionally and respectfully when they're not putting their weights back, and I have been getting better, or not cleaning up their bench. There was a couple times where guys were using benches or whatever, and then I'd ask like, oh, how many more sets? Oh, I'm done after this. Okay, cool. And they're about to leave, and I go, are you done? Yeah, I'm done. I was like, you mind wiping this up? Oh, yeah. So if you're respectful about it, most of the time, these people don't do it to be assholes. They're just inconsiderate. They don't even think about it. And when you snap them into reality a little bit and give them that reminder nicely and professionally, they'll be like, oh, yeah, I didn't even think about it. Well, now maybe you will. This guy does it on purpose. He doesn't give a shit. And I don't know what I'm going to do about it. I mean, if he's using machines in the future and doing that shit, I'm going to keep calling him out for it. Like I said, I'm not afraid of him. He is much stronger than me. I'm sure of that. But he has no idea what he's dealing with. I got nothing to live for but getting rid of scum like this from a community space where people should be welcome and feel comfortable to come in, work out, go to the places where they want to work, like want to get weights and stuff, and know that the weights are going to be there, the equipment's going to be there, and it's going to be clean, and there's not going to be snot on the ground where they're sitting. That's all I want, and this scum has to go. So I'm not afraid of him. I don't care that he's stronger than me. I will end him for the good of the gym, for the good of the fitness community, so that everybody can continue following the big three in peace. So I'll keep you posted on this guy, but he is absolutely Stugotz of the week. He's more than that. He's a piece of shit of the month. I hate this guy. I don't hate many people. I don't. I just don't. It's a waste of emotion and energy hating people that don't necessarily affect me. I can just avoid them, and then my life is fine again. This guy is affecting me more and more, increasingly more and more while I'm at the gym, because he's using things I need to. He is getting in the way of my progress and other people's progress. So I'm starting to actually hate this guy. And that's not good, because if I hate you, I'm going to dedicate all my time and resources to ending you. You know this. It's the addiction. You know it. So I'm going to maintain my composure as best as I can, so I don't have to go to war with this guy. But he has to go. So I'll keep you posted on that. Anyway, that's all I got on the Stugotz. Real quick before we go, we do have a couple hotline calls, so let's get to those real quick and see what we got with the hotline. Very excited. Love the hotline.
You thought you'd stop me from calling, huh? I can make everybody disappear. You better watch what you say. And keep giving me leads on characters like London Boy.
All right. Thanks for the call, Mickey. I can't imagine. I can't imagine that the guy behind this voice actually enjoys doing this, or actually thinks this is fun. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine any sane human being would be doing this character, constantly talking about finding boys and thinking like, this is it right here. Like, that's what's funny to me. That's the comedy of this all. But thank you for the call, Mickey. I appreciate it. we'll just move on. We got one more call here, and let's see. Oh, maybe it's Mickey, maybe it's Goofy, maybe it's another character. Who knows?
You got some nerve, all right? 2 weeks ago, you're ranting at your brother in arms, who, those who reached out to you say, "What are you doing? You're making a big mistake. Come join my unit. Don't give up. At 14 years, you're 6 from a pension." You attack us for trying to get you the benefits, all right? It's one thing union people do. It's benefits, okay? It's the medical, all right? It's the pension, all right? And you're going to attack us, for not believing in you. You know what we believe in? The union, okay? We're only as weak as our weakest link.
All right, that's not the saying. Thank you for the call. That's not this. We're only as strong as your weakest link. So thank you for that. I don't like what unions have become. Most people haven't. I understand the benefit of having a union to protect the workers from shitty bosses that are going to control you and take advantage of you. But what has happened to a lot of these unions? They are now controlled by corrupt union reps who control them and take advantage of them for their own political benefit. So, no, I'm not a fan of what unions have become. I still like the idea of unions and think we can reform them and make them better for the people. But it's not it right now. So, no, I don't have any desire to be part of a union in that regard. Also, let's do this. Okay, very quickly, let's do this, because I understand the sentiment here when people have been coming at me and telling me I'm making a mistake for leaving the military before 20 years, before the benefits kick in. And I know they're trying to be helpful, but they're doing something that here's the mistake I believe they're making, or the thing that they're either not considering, or they disagree with me in my specific case here. Number one, what you consider to be a benefit, I don't necessarily think is a benefit. Okay, we have different viewpoints of what is worth the work. Okay, that's number one. Because I don't think the benefits are worth it in general, and I'll get into it in a second why I believe that. But this is not an objective thing here. This is not you're missing out on all this good stuff. I'm missing out on what you consider to be good stuff. What's probably best for you or your family, if you have a family, it could be good stuff for you. Got it. That makes sense. In that regard, I would, if I were in the same position as you with my timing in the military, I got it. Yeah, it would probably be more beneficial in the long run to stick this out for 6 more years and get these benefits, because this is how they help the situation. Got it. That's not the case for me. Okay, this is not an objective. You're making a mistake and missing out on all this good stuff. It's not good stuff for me. Okay, let's go over. Let's do a quick breakdown, a very quick breakdown, because I would rather actually have another person here to actually debate this and talk through it in a longer form. But let's do a very quick breakdown of the benefits in question. Okay, medical benefits for retirees, TRICARE. I believe you have to still pay into it a little bit, but you're eligible to pay into it a little bit. That's another common misconception with the military is, free healthcare. They take it out of your paycheck, fellas and ladies. Okay, take a look at your leaving earnings statement. Each pay period, you're paying into TRICARE. Okay, it's not free healthcare. It's single payer healthcare. And let me tell you something about TRICARE. If you don't live in a major metropolitan area, good luck getting good medical care from TRICARE. Good luck. They just actually put out a graphic recently. I saw, I'm trying to remember who sent it to me or where I saw it, a graphic of the medical facility options and the medical treatment options around military bases and available for military personnel. And they're a nightmare. So there are some bases in some areas where there's not a medical facility for hours. Hours. That's just for the active duty folks and people working on the bases. And it doesn't extend much further when you have TRICARE, because there are still plenty of medical facilities and professionals who don't accept TRICARE as you're in medical insurance. It's not great. If you don't live in a major metropolitan area where I was in the DC area previously, Walter Reed is the medical facility that the president goes to. Now, we don't get the presidential doctors. We get, Walter Reed's second string, if you will, but it's a good facility. South Dakota had the on-base medical clinic, and then you had a fight. You had to fight your ass off to get a referral for the Rapid City, South Dakota Medical Center to accept your referral and your insurance. Otherwise, whatever the clinic could handle, they could handle. If you need a big surgery or an emergency, go to Rapid City Regional, and good luck. You're going to be fighting the insurance company on the back end for that one. So that's not a benefit for me. Okay. I pay considerably less right now for much better medical treatment availability with my current medical insurance that's not military related. And I will continue to do that in the future. I don't need the medical benefits. I have the VA. I get disability from the VA, and that's all I want from the VA because they're a nightmare. I don't want government medical. That sounds terrible. They can't run the post office. How many times do I have to go back to that? The government can't run the post office. The post office is taking paper from one person and delivering it to another person. That's it. You don't even need a high school degree to be a post office employee, a postal worker, and they've gone bankrupt multiple times in the past couple decades. The government can't run the post office. I don't want the government opening me up in a medical treatment facility and doing surgery. I don't want my medical health and wellness to be dependent on the government. That's crazy to me. That is crazy to me. If it works for you, that's great. That's a benefit for you. It is an absolute liability for me. So check that one off. Not a benefit for me. Let's talk about the pension. Well, first, let's talk about the retiree benefits. You still, you get a retiree card so you can get on base and you can use the BX, the base exchange, and you can use the commissary, which is like the grocery store, on base if you want to, if you live by a base. I don't. Doesn't matter to me. Even if I move back up to Jersey, the closest base is still going to be a couple hours away. I'm not going to the grocery store 2 hours away to get slightly discounted groceries, which really aren't discounted because they charge you a little back-ended surcharge, and that discount that they offer to the military on the commissary goes away. So that's not a benefit. Okay? The military discounts at the stores, the Home Depots of the world, the different places, I don't use them anyway. Not a benefit for me. The only benefit I might be missing out on is if I take out a loan in the future, I won't get the service members, cap on interest. I'll have to rely solely on my credit score and my reliability to pay off debt to give me a low interest rate, which, guess what? I have a damn good credit score. It's almost as high as you can possibly get numbers-wise. So I am not worried about that. Again, not a benefit. Okay, now let's get into the pension really quick. Okay? Active duty, you retire at 20, you get your pension immediately. I am in the older legacy retirement plan when it comes to the pension. So it's 50% of your highest 3-year average salary. So if I was making, let's just say I was making $10,000 a year, $10,000 a month salary, whatever that, $120 a year before taxes for 3 years straight, I would get 50% of that as my retirement. So $5,000 a month as my retirement. You can get that immediately. There's a new retirement system out there that I am not a part of. And it's a whole different number scheme. I lost video again. Don't care. It's a whole different number scheme. So it's different benefits for different people. And I'm not in it. So those aren't benefits for me because I'm not eligible for that anymore. I am the legacy system. It's called high year tenure. Your last 3, average, whatever. Because if I made rank in my last 2 years, it's the average of the last 3. So it wouldn't be half of my salary on my last year. It would be half of the average of the last 3, if that makes sense, if I'm explaining that appropriately or effectively. For the National Guard, because I would have been retiring from the National Guard on active duty, normally the National Guard, if you do 20 years in the National Guard, you're eligible for your pension when you're like 59 years old or something like that. Okay? Now, if you get 20, it's a point system. If you get 20 years worth of points, which is a point per day, if you hit that 4,000 point mark or whatever it is, then you can get your retirement immediately. So if I did National Guard, but I was on active orders for 20 straight years and I retire at 20, I would get the pension at the 20-year mark right when I retire and 42, 43 years old. That's not the case for me. Okay? Because I have some active duty time and some deployed time, I would be eligible to receive my retirement maybe at like 55 instead of 59, something like that. So that's still almost 15 years after I retire that I would get my retirement benefit, quote unquote. Now, here's the numbers for my particular retirement. It would have been about $4,000 a month. It would have been about $4,000 a month, I'd say, based on making rank and salary and this and that. $4,000 a month. Now, that's nothing to shake a stick at. I like $4,000 a month. It's not something I can live off of. That's not a retirement. I need to go work. I can't survive off of $4,000 a month. Nobody can right now, unless you live in squalor in an impoverished area. I suppose I could live off of that, but I'm not going to. I would still need to work. Okay, that's number one of what 4,000 would get you, roughly 4,000. Now, I did the numbers exactly. I don't remember the exact number, but that's what it would have been, around 55-ish, I think, something like that. So do I want to be miserable and depressed and spiraling out of control for 6 more years? Also, wasting 6 years not working on my personal professional goals in life and my career goals when it comes to the business I've always wanted to have. Does it make sense to, quote unquote, tough out 6 years for garbage medical, store discounts, and $4,000 a month that I can't even touch until I'm 55 years old? So I'd still need to figure it out between then. And I'm 6 years behind the curve when it comes to building my business. To me, once again, for me, to me, me only, that's absolutely not worth it. So now, while I always appreciate the intent behind the pushback from people, I don't think the people were actually thinking about the benefit to me, why I'm doing this and why I'm choosing not to tough it out for 6 years. And I'm trying to be as nice as possible and give them the benefit of the doubt because I believe their intents were pure. Their hearts were in the right place. Now, if you think I'm attacking you for that, cry me a fucking river. Sorry, T Family Show. If you get offended by that to the point where you think you're being attacked, cry me a fucking river. Because I'm getting a little tired of having to explain to people why my life and my goals and what benefits me is different than your life and your goals and what benefits you. So to get angry that I made this big mistake and to double down on it, to fall on your sword for it after explanation after explanation after explanation, I'm getting a little tired of that. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have to explain to quote unquote close people in my life over and over again why I don't believe I'm making a mistake and we can drop it. You can think all you want in your head now for perpetuity that I made a mistake, whatever you want. And I promise I won't come back to you years down the road and tell you I told you so when I'm wildly successful. Because you know me, you know my confidence. And a lot of times people say it's blind confidence. I don't know where he's getting that confidence from. He doesn't have the skills or experience, whatever. I know I'm going to be wildly successful. I know it. It's going to happen. So you can either get on board and be supportive while I'm in the grind, or you can keep thinking I'm making a big mistake, and that's fine too. And I promise I won't tell you I told you so when it happens. When my retirement is me sleeping on a mattress made of cash, bouncing around to my different houses around the country, not even thinking about, man, what would I have done with that $4,000 a month at age 55? I'm not even going to be thinking about it. And I promise I won't say I told you so. I'm not going to say a word about it. And I'm not going to ask you to apologize. I'm not going to ask you to admit you were wrong or say sorry that you doubted me. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to win. That's all. And I know I'm going to win. That's it. So all I'm asking right now is to drop it. Respectfully drop it, because I don't want to get adversarial about it. Okay? I want to maintain the friendships with all the people that I am friends with that doubt me and think I'm making a mistake, because I know the intentions are pure. I know their hearts are in the right place, but we have to drop it at some point. We have to drop it. It's already done. I'm not going back. We're dropping it. Okay? And if you can't emotionally drop it, just let me know. Like, say I can't drop it, and then we'll go our separate ways, and that's fine too. We'll end things amicably. That's also fine too. But if you keep bringing it up, the niceties and the kindness are going to go away. And things won't end amicably. They'll just end. And I don't want that for people. And I'm not talking about one person. I'm not talking about this caller. I know this caller is just making a joke and whatever. Got it. There's a number of people. I had a conversation with my brother-in-arms, Steve McStiff. We had a quick conversation, just via text message, but we were talking about this exact thing and how he had a great mindset of, the whole thing. He said, listen, if you were in my shoes, I would be like, you got to stay in for your family's sake, for what your personal life and goals are, stay in. He goes, but for you, go get them. Go fucking get them. He's like, he said, your decision to leave does not work for me. It would cripple me in my future or whatever. He didn't say cripple, but he very succinctly said, I support you, even though I wouldn't do it myself. And it doesn't make sense for this particular person, my brother-in-arms, Steve McStiff, to do this. I wouldn't do it if I were him either. But I appreciated the fact that he actually volunteered that information to me. That was very nice of him. And there are other people that I'm still close with that still push back. We can disagree. We can agree to disagree and still be friends. Don't keep coming at me for it. The deed is done. Nothing is going to change in that regard, except our friendship. If you keep coming at me like I wronged you, like how am I affecting you? Please get over it. I'm tired of this. I am tired of this conversation. I don't want my brain, every time I think of my military time, to come back to this portion, this stage of my experience with the military. If I don't want to have to come back and be like, just only remember I had to fight friends and family members and previous mentors on my decision to leave. That's depressing. That's disheartening. We got to stop that. I know what I'm doing, and I'm more than confident in my ability to do it. I appreciate your concern. I know your intentions are pure. I know your heart's there. We're done with it, though. That's it. Let's move forward amicably. Thank you very much. With that, the big three. The three pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, more genuine human being, and spreading that goodness and positivity throughout the land to everybody around you. Number one, exercise every day. Whatever you got to do to get a physical, mental, or emotional workout in at least once a day, do it. For your own health and wellness, physically, mentally, emotionally, and for those around you. Through your example, they'll see that. They'll follow suit. Video's frozen again. Damn it. Number two, the hardest one. Don't be a shitty person. Be a kind person. When the opportunity arises to be shitty to somebody or be negative or let your negative emotions, your angry emotions respond for you, recognize those emotions that you're feeling at that moment and then put that energy towards more positive, productive stuff. By doing that, it's very difficult to do. I know it is very difficult. But if the first step is you know you're getting the feeling, I'm angry right now, or I'm hurt, or whatever, recognize the feeling in yourself. That's the trigger. Now you know, okay, even though I'm angry and I want to do this, I know what my body's, how my body's reacting. I'm getting, my hairs are standing up in my arms. I'm getting butterflies in my stomach. I'm sweating, whatever it is, whatever your physical manifestation of that emotion is, use that as your trigger. That's your announcement. Hey, you got to go do something different. Okay? And then just remove yourself from the situation. By doing that, you're minimizing the shit and negativity in the world and in your life, and you're allowing yourself the room and the capacity to go focus on more positive, productive things. Very hard to do. I understand. It's so hard to do. I catch myself on a constant basis because you get angry over everything. We live such a good life. Every little thing sparks a negative reaction when it goes wrong. I was in the bathroom taking a shower the other day, and I was grabbing some TP because I had a visible bug in my nose, and I wanted to wipe it off. And I went to go roll the TP, and the TP roll just fell off the holder onto the ground, and it rolled into the corner, and now it's dirty. Now it's dirty TP. Now I have to take that TP off, unravel it and take that off because I'm not putting that in my anus. I'm not doing wipes with that. So I just wasted TP. I wasted about 12 cents of TP. And that got me angry. I was like, wow, this is stupid holder. What will... You get angry about everything. Okay? So I get it. It's very difficult to do. But if you focus on number two of the big three, you'll get a little better at it. And if you focus on the most important one, number three, the most important pillar of the big three, being genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your life. If you focus on that one as well and think about the good thing you have in your life. I have a toilet paper roll, a holder to hold my toilet paper. When I was in Afghanistan, it wasn't bad. It wasn't like we were living in tents. We still didn't have toilet paper rolls. We just had to grab toilet paper and unravel it, put the TP down, and then conduct our business. And then pick it back up, unravel it. What minor inconvenience. But it made you absolutely appreciate having a nice holder on the wall or right in front of you or whatever. So think about the good things you have in your life and think about what your life would be like without those things. And you put yourself in that state of gratitude. And that's a positive mindset to have. And you couple that with not being a shitty person, being kind, and you couple that with exercising every day and working off the stress and getting the good dopamine and the endorphins surging through your body and shutting down the cortisol and the stress chemicals through your body. Do all those three things. I promise you, every day, you do those at least once a day. I promise you, you'll be a better, happier, kinder, healthier, more genuine human being and be able to spread that goodness and positivity throughout the land. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends and enemies. Keep calling that hotline. Bring the jokes. You can bring the bits, good or bad. Bring them. Bring the jokes. Bring the trollings. Bring whatever you want. 202-670-1114 is the hotline number. 202-670-1114. That's the hotline. Call it in, whatever you want, whenever you want. I'm never going to turn down a hotline call. If it's wildly disrespectful, I'm not going to play that. We're not going to do that. But everything else basically plays. If you want to make jokes at my expense, if you want to do bits at my expense, if you want to get angry, whatever else you want, as long as you're not crossing over the line of being wildly disrespectful or using derogatory words, really bad shit, we're not doing that. Otherwise, 202-670-1114. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.